Does anyone else remember the 2000s Christmas special, Arthur's Perfect Christmas?
Christmas, and this one's gonna be the best one ever.
Maybe it was the first time you heard about Kwanza or Hannukkah or St. Lucia's Day as a little kid. Maybe you were emotionally scarred by that scene of DW walking on Arthur while he's using the bathroom. Or maybe you, like Arthur, were a child with undiagnosed generalized anxiety disorder. Either way, let's look back on Arthur's Perfect Christmas.
Happy holidays, everyone!
According to the Arthur Wiki, Arthur's Perfect Christmas was the first ever 1-hour special created for the Arthur TV show. It aired in November of 2000 and became an instant classic. Unfortunately, the songs less so, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The story was created by Mark Brown, the author of the Arthur series, and he would actually create a companion novel that would go along with the special, and I'll be switching back and forth between the special and the picture book. They're pretty much identical. Obviously, a children's picture book can't fit in as much information as an hour-long special, so some things were left out of the book. The book does, however, have beautiful watercolor illustrations that, man, I know watercolor illustrations, like watercolor animation, would have been too expensive to do for the show, but can you imagine how beautiful that would have been to have this style of watercolor in the show animation? Just, it would have been so pretty. The special opens with a montage including various Christmas activities. It's 3 days before Christmas, and Arthur wants everything to be just right. He wants there to be lots of snow, the perfect tree, and a delicious turkey dinner for Christmas. Arthur has this musical fantasy about how he's going to have the most perfect magical Christmas ever.
Christmas will be magical, just like in a fairy tale.
It's definitely not as iconic as the library song and is a little bit grating. It gives the kind of half-baked energy as the Strawberry Shortcake songs.
Candy cane with chocolate sauce. What should I get for my friends?
There are 2 lines that are genuinely very funny though, like,
I'll use my toes to pick up the morning mail. Dream.
But I want tinsel! You can have all the tinsel you like.
When you are as old as me.
why does Arthur care so much about tinsel? Meanwhile, DW is having a mentee bee over Christmas being only 3 days away. She's really worried that Santa won't receive her letter and forces Arthur to write it for her. Arthur, she said, help me write a letter to Santa. I want Tina the Talking Tabby at the top of the list. Girl, it is really late to be sending your letter to Santa. Like, what kid procrastinates on this? DW has never met a problem she couldn't solve by screaming at it.
I've only had 4 Christmases in my whole life. What should I write?
On the way to school the next day, we hear an advertisement for the toy that DW really wants, Tina the Talking Tabby, and it is every bit as annoying as Crazy Bus and Mary Moo Cow.
It's Tina the Talking Tabby.
When Arthur does arrive at school, and isn't it weird that school is still going when there's only 3 days till Christmas? Like, what school district is still going on December 22nd? Muffy at school is very excited. She's running around saying, my big Christmas party is tomorrow. And when Muffy tries to talk to Francine about it, Francine says, Muffy, I told you I can't. Muffy wasn't listening. I forgot to invite George. She ran off. She won't listen, said Francine. Why can't you go? Arthur asked. Every year we have a family Hanukkah party, Francine said, when we light all the candles on the menorah. Maybe you should tell her again, Arthur said. Francine shook her head. I've told her 1,000,000 times. Muffy is extremely problematic throughout this entire episode, but hear me out. This outfit does slay, and I would wear it. During class, George is explaining the festival of St. Lucia, and my family is Swedish, and between this special and then the Kirsten American Girl doll books, I wanted to celebrate St. Lucia Day so bad, because guess what? I was the youngest girl in the family, so I would have been able to be St. Lucia, even though I was afraid of fire. I'm sure it would have been fine. Anyway, George serves lutefisk, and for the first of many times in this episode, we get the trope of, ew, foods from other cultures are so gross. Thankfully, to wash the scent and taste of lutefisk out of everyone's mouths, Binky has brought a pecan pie for everyone to share, and that's surprisingly considerate of Binky. I always love that they gave Binky this passion for baking. But unfortunately, Binky forgot to shell the pecan, so it's kind of disgusting. Mr. Ratburn says goodbye for the break and says they will have a 5-page essay due. 5 2-page essay is crazy for 3rd graders. I taught 5th grade, and I think the longest essay I had them write was probably like 2 to 3 pages. Like, oh my gosh, Mr. Ratburn really was unhinged. Buster, meanwhile, looks completely exhausted, and when Arthur wants to hang out with him, Buster says that, "I'm going to bed. My mom woke me up too early this morning. She thought it was Christmas. It's happened every year since my parents got divorced. She cooks special pancakes and gives me all my presents. Then I tell her it's not Christmas, and she goes back to bed." "Weird," Arthur said. "She's worried that I won't have a good Christmas without my dad," Buster explained. Poor Mrs. Baxter is having a trauma response to her divorce. She's the default parent. She's the everything parent. And she's trying her hardest to give her son a great Christmas, and it's weighing on her so heavily, and this is so sad. Meanwhile, Muffy announces her party in the most insane way possible, rolling up in a limousine with medieval heralds, and announces that she is the Princess of Christmas. And once again, this is an outfit I would definitely wear. I mean, the hennin, iconic. And does Muffy aggressively ignoring Francine in this episode every time Francine talks about Hanukkah, does that count as a hate crime, technically?
But Muffy, I told you I can't come. Ugh.
Arthur and his mom go to the mall to finish up Christmas shopping, and Mrs. Reed tells him to meet her by the big candy cane at a certain time. Oh, the 90s, when parents let their 8-year-olds just wander around the mall by themselves to buy Christmas presents. Arthur finds the perfect Christmas present for his dad. There's a Billy Mays-style infomercial advertising the Veginator, only $5.99. And since Mr. Reed's one personality trait is cooking, Arthur decides that this is the perfect gift for him. "Sorry, we're all sold out," the salesman said. "How about this olive depitter instead?" "Well, okay," Arthur said. He gets his dad this olive depitter, so I hope his dad really, really likes olives. At another store, Arthur sees a little glass bird in the store window and decides it would be perfect to get for his mom since she used to have one just like it, but Arthur broke it last summer. Arthur then tries to buy the glass bird. He gets in a long line, and when he's finally up at the front, he pays for the bird in coins. $9.59 in coins. It takes him so long to count that the clerk literally falls asleep. If I were the clerk or anyone behind him in line, I would be so upset with this. Mrs. Reed tries to emotionally prepare DW for the fact that she might not get Tina the Talking Tabby for Christmas, and DW asks,
Why? Because I've been bad?
"Yes, DW, actually you have been bad. You're a menace to society. If anyone deserves to be on the naughty list and get a lump of coal, it's DW." The family receives Uncle Fred's Christmas card, which introduces us to the character of Mrs. Reed's brother Fred, who seems to be living his best bachelor life as a dog parent to his completely untrained dog Rory. Arthur's dad announces that they will be having Arthur's favorite food, and we cut to an entire feast being laid out. Is Arthur's favorite food just an entire feast? If so, this kid has really expensive taste. His dad announces that he's going to make a real Christmas dinner, the kind they would have had in Bethlehem at the time Jesus was born. Roast lamb, flatbread, and an ancient Roman dish with chickpeas. Arthur is disgusted at the idea of Mediterranean food, and once again we get this, food from other cultures is so gross trope. And Arthur thinks, there goes the perfect Christmas dinner. At Muffy's big Christmas party, we see her mansion and how absolutely insane it is, and I wonder what horrible, unethical ways her parents used to become this level of wealthy. Arthur is complaining to the brain that he's sad that there's not snow yet, and he really wants snow on Christmas Day. So the brain explains that we don't know the exact day that Jesus was born, but we probably celebrate Christmas in December because that's when the Romans celebrated the winter, and Arthur interrupts him and says,
I don't care. I still want snow.
Muffy then announces that she has a present for everyone, and she'll be starting off by giving a present to Francine, and then she finally realizes that Francine isn't at the party. We cut over to the Frensky house where Francine is playing dreidel with her family. The dreidel stops spinning. "Gimmel," said Francine, "I win again." The phone rang. "Francine, it's for you," called her mother. "Where are you?" Muffy shouted. "Muffy," said Francine, "I told you I can't come because our family has a Hanukkah party."
It's not like Hanukkah is as important as Christmas.
Well, it is to me.
Buster Buster is expressing how exhausting it is to keep celebrating Christmas over and over again, and the brain gives Buster the idea to forget Christmas and have a new holiday instead. Buster comes up with the idea to have Baxter Day. Now Buster has his own musical fantasy about a holiday where basically he gets to eat weird food and hop on a rocket ship and go into outer space. Once again, the song is not very good.
Oh yes, it's Baxter Day!
Also, the moon in this scene is so creepy. Like, why does he look like he's committed multiple crimes? I just do not care for this at all. It's also really sweet. Buster says in the song that he doesn't actually care about getting presents. He just wants to spend the day with his mom, which is so cute. His perfect day also consists of reading a joke book with his mom and then getting really messy and not having to take a bath. And that's just the most like little boy thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Meanwhile, Binky is still using everyone as human guinea pigs for his recipes. I also love that he's not using recipes. He's just following his heart and experimenting. You know, he's really a cultural anthropologist. When Arthur gets home from the party, he sees the tree and he cannot believe his eyes. "That doesn't look like a Christmas tree," Arthur said. "Yes, it does," said DW. "It's beautiful." "I wanted something normal," said Arthur. "Not unicorns and trolls." "You can decorate the rest of the tree," Mom said. "Just the way you want." There goes the perfect tree, thought Arthur. Arthur is really one of those monochromatic influencers who wants an aesthetic Christmas tree. It's very Kardashian coded. I love that for him. Binky shows up with yet another concoction, and this time he forgot to peel the bananas in the banana bread. Later, Arthur wrapped all his gifts and put them under the tree. "Mom is going to be so surprised," he said. DW came in with cookies, milk, and a bucket. "These are for Santa," she said. "Now help me fill this pail with water." "Water?" Arthur asked. "For the reindeer, silly," said DW. Arthur then sees a snowflake and he thinks that it's finally going to snow, but oh no, it's rain. Later, Arthur hears a big crash and he rushes downstairs to see that it's his Uncle Fred. He stopped by unexpectedly when his truck broke down. Rory the dog immediately begins chasing Pal around the house and trying to eat the presents. Pal, icon that he is, bravely tries to defend his family and his home. Pal is such a good and loyal boy. He immediately lets go, but Rory sprints away, and when Arthur tries to grab it, he ends up jumping on top of Rory and riding him around like a horse. "Let go of that," shouted Arthur. The box went flying through the air. Arthur made a wild dive and caught it before it hit the floor. Whew! He decided to put the gift in a safe place, so he stores it in a cabinet upstairs. Uncle Fred is so quirky and silly, he can't even remember that he's pouring milk in a cup. The next morning, DW woke everyone up. "Arthur, wake up! It's Christmas!" she cried. "Mommy, Daddy, it's Christmas! Wake up! Christmas is here!" DW stopped in the hall. "Santa?" "It's Uncle Fred," said Arthur. "Uncle Fred is Santa?" asked DW. DW drags her dad to the bathroom, saying that Santa is in there, and she bursts the door open, and Arthur is going to the bathroom, and both Arthur and DW are traumatized in this moment. Over at the Baxter house, Buster has to wake up his mom. "Guess what, Mom?" Buster said. "It's Christmas." "Are you sure?" she asked. "Yep, December 25th, Buster answered. "It's time for presents. It's time for pancakes." And then Mrs. Baxter is so tired, she actually ends up burning the pancakes because she's so exhausted from all these days in a row of Christmas. At Muffy's house, she counts her presents. 37, the biggest Christmas ever. Wait till Francine hears. Then she remembered that they weren't speaking to each other.
I don't need makeup. I'm already beautiful. But Francine doesn't have any, and she sure could use some.
Muffy is sad that she can't call Francine and won't have anyone to brag about all her presents to. And then Muffy has her own daydream song. And these songs were so obviously put in here to pad the runtime, and I could definitely do without them. And Muffy is rich and classist in the way that I thought only a Gilded Age robber baron could be, but you know what? She's proving them wrong. Muffy fantasizes about Francine being her servant, and Muffy enjoying tea in the caboose of a train while Francine shovels coal. There is a cute little Mario homage in here, and it's just adorable. Muffy, I don't know why you're saying that you don't want to spend Christmas with your tutor, because he's absolutely slaying here. Aw, Muffy might actually be learning a lesson about relationships being more important than stuff. Even if the reason she wants Francine around is to basically be her servant. But you know what? We won't think about that. At the Reed house, Grandma and Grandpa are there, and Grandpa compliments David on the coffee, and David says it's actually ground bark, since they didn't have coffee in ancient Jerusalem. You know what? I appreciate his dedication to the bit. Fred says that he works in a china shop, which of course is very ironic considering he's a huge klutz, meaning, a bull in a china shop, and that's actually very clever here. I like it.
Why would Santa be here in the morning? He does all his work at night.
He was running a little late. Probably because you wrote my first wish list all wrong.
Truly only a sibling would keep their foot on your neck like this. Arthur fantasizes about how much his mom will love her glass bird present and imagines that he will get a float in the Christmas parade and everyone will celebrate him as a hero of the 20th century. And it's so crazy that this is the 20th century, like this was 25 years ago. So he's alongside, like Albert Einstein and other people. And no Arthur fantasy is complete without DW suffering in some way. Arthur goes to grab the present from the hall closet where he had tucked it to keep it safe, but accidentally he drops it, and he's heartbroken once again. Since their breakfast burned, Mrs. Baxter takes Buster to a very fancy place for brunch. Baxter is trying really hard to make his mom happy. He's trying to eat his fancy food, but accidentally ends up launching into this posh gentleman's soup. Uncle Fred goes upstairs and finds Arthur crying in bed. Arthur's so sad he won't be able to give his mom the present and make her happy, and this is just so Charlie Brown-coded. I broke Mom's present, said Arthur. It was the perfect gift and now it's ruined. That's a shame, said Uncle Fred. But Christmas is more than just presents, That's what grown-ups always say, Arthur said. Uncle Fred looked at Arthur's gift. Well, the day's not over yet, he said. Let's go back down. Over at the ice cream shop, the brain teaches Muffy about what the colors of Kwanza represent.
Soup symbolizes freedom, the licorice, unity, and the raspberry, the African struggle for freedom.
And then Muffy asked her dad if she could have a Kwanza party next year instead of a Christmas party. Back at the Reed house, Pal and Rory exchange presents, which is very cute. And then DW throws a full-on tantrum that ruins the entire vibe. But, like all 4-year-olds, she realizes she actually likes this present and gets over it very quickly. At the Frensky house, Francine's family is celebrating Hanukkah and eating some Chinese takeout when Muffy and her parents appear. Muffy's dad brings them a ham, which if he knew anything about anything, he would know that that's very not kosher and not appropriate. Francine and Muffy are able to have a heart-to-heart, and Francine explains all the special family traditions her family has with Hanukkah, like all her relatives coming over for a potluck, and then the prayer, and the way they sing while lighting the menorah, and Muffy finally starts to understand that there's another culture besides her own. You forgot the best family tradition of all, said Mr. Frensky. What's that? Muffy asked. Going to the movies, Francine answered. Come on. Meanwhile, Buster's mom is so focused on having the perfect Christmas that she is stressing both her and Buster out. Back at the Reed house, Arthur wishes he had a gift for his mother. Mom, he began, I have to tell you something. Wait, said Uncle Fred. There's one more present. The card says, to Mom. Love, Arthur. It does? Arthur said. Oh, Arthur, thank you, said Mom. It's the tea set that Fred broke last Christmas. Better keep it away from me, joked Uncle Fred. Arthur didn't know what to say. Back at the brunchery, Buster's mother checked her list. Everything's planned, she said. After this, it's penguins on ice. Mom, Buster began. Then we'll rush home so I can start the roast and make the pudding. Mom. Then we'll watch the TV special. Then we'll... Mom. Mrs. Baxter looked up. Yes, dear? Buster took a deep breath. Maybe Christmas could be a day where we just relax. Relax? Said Buster's mother. On Christmas? Yeah, we could sleep late and eat breakfast and open our presents whenever we wanted. At night, we could just sit outside and look at the stars. We wouldn't even have to call it Christmas. It could be our own holiday. Baxter Day. Buster's mother smiled. Baxter Day. I love it. Everyone at the Reed's house was stuffed, except for Arthur. Dinner was great, said Arthur. More havla, please. Arthur, I love this olive depitter, said Dad. It's so useful. Good news, said Uncle Fred. My truck is fixed, so Rory and I will be going to Florida after all. Arthur and Uncle Fred went to go get a suitcase. The tea set was your present to Mom, wasn't it? Arthur asked. Yes, Uncle Fred answered, but it was a lot nicer coming from you. Everyone waved goodbye. As Grandpa Dave backed out of the driveway, he hit the other half of the fence and fell over in a crash. "Oops," called Grandpa Dave. "Sorry." Mom sighed. "Like father, like son." Then it snows, which is the one present that Arthur wanted. We then get a montage of how everyone is spending Christmas Day. George's family is celebrating St. Lucia's Day and Swedish Christmas. The Brain and his parents are setting up for their Kwanza celebration. Binky is at the soup kitchen serving food with his parents. And one of the men there compliments how great Binky's cookies are. And then we see that Binky has finally given up on his culinary endeavors, and instead he's just passing off store-bought cookies as his own. He laughs maniacally, and I love that his quote-unquote mischievous troublemaker thing he's doing this episode is really just wanting to hear compliments about his cooking. Then we see Mr. Ratburn having his dream Christmas, which consists of him sitting alone in his house, planning a million tests for his students while laughing maniacally. We see the Frenskys and Muffy's family enjoying a movie together.
Arthur, you better come inside before you catch pneumonia.
I love this joke because the implication is that DW is pronouncing pneumonia the way it's spelled, not the way it's actually pronounced, which would mean that this 4-year-old girl can read a word as complicated as pneumonia and use it in context, which is just so funny. The only other alternative is I guess she would have heard someone else pronounce it this way, which also is equally funny. "Do you still like Santa?" Arthur asked DW. "He didn't give you what you wanted." "Of course," said DW. "He knew I'd like Quackers way better than Tina." She hugged Quackers. And Arthur realizes that DW's duck toy is way more annoying than even Tina the Talking Tabby would have been. And that's Arthur's Perfect Christmas. So, did this actually hold up over the last 25 years? Did everything age well? Do you remember this from growing up? Whatever your thoughts, let me know down below. Okay, happy holidays, bye!